guys, so it's me Alexis. Welcome back to my astrology channel, and today I'm going to be talking about the Venus in Capricorn. So before I go ahead and do that, I just want to let you guys know that there will be a poll after this video is posted so that you guys can go ahead and kind of vote, and we'll see which sign I will cover next week. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this placement. So when it comes to having a Venus in Capricorn, Capricorn is a cardinal earth sign ruled by Saturn. Now, when you have a sign like this, as an earth sign, Capricorns are practical, they're realistic, they kind of like to tell things the way it is, and it's kind of, a very grounded sign because, hello, it's earth. And then when you have something, when you have a sign that is cardinal signs are very initiative. They like to start things. They're usually seen as leaders, and they're really good at starting things, but they're not really good at finishing things. But like, you want to get something started, go get a cardinal sign. And then when you have Saturn ruling over Capricorn, you have a sign that's, kind of somber, a sign that's very realistic. And Saturn is the planet of responsibility. It's the planet that tells you to grow up, and that, it doesn't care how hard, your life is. Like, you gotta grow up and do your best. And this is also the planet that kind of tells you, like, hey, the world doesn't care about you or your feelings. Like, because of that, you gotta be the best that you can be. And at its worst, Saturn can be very restricting. It could, make someone feel insecure. It could make someone feel like they're not good enough. But at its positive, Saturn can make someone very high achieving, someone who has structure in their life, like the good kind of structure, and someone who, can overcome adversity. So yeah, that is Capricorn in a nutshell. Now, Venus is going to be the planet of relationships. This is the planet where we like to connect things. It's kind of like your planet of, aesthetics, anything with like connection. That's Venus. And when you put this all together into the Venus and Capricorn placement, you get someone that's pretty interesting. Now, personally, I dated a Venus and Capricorn person, and I think they're enjoyable. They're great people to date just because they take love really, really seriously. Now, if you're just a person who's kind of looking for a fling, you're not looking for anything serious and, whatever, then sticking with this person is not going to work in the long haul. This kind of depends on the Venus and Capricorn person, because if they're not looking for something in the long haul, they will treat you like you're not going to last for the long haul. Because sometimes when you're a Venus and Capricorn, you can feel insecure about relationships and how futile it may be to be vulnerable with someone, and because of that, you're just kind of like, okay, I just won't take anyone seriously, but I need that, Venus connection. And then from there, short-term relationships are nah. For those kind of relationships, a Capricorn and Venus, they're not gonna take that so seriously. However, when we're talking about relationships for the long haul, like relationships where you grow old with the person, this is the type of stuff that Venus and Capricorn people take really, really seriously. And because of that, I want to talk about how they take this so seriously, because the way they take love so seriously really defines this placement. It's largely because Saturn rules over Capricorn. So the first thing I want to talk about is how when you have a Venus in Capricorn, you really take love really slowly. And for you, this is kind of your way to, see if a relationship can last. Because of that, it can be hard for you to express love right away, just because you're just kind of like, if it's not going to last, why should I do it? So that's kind of like your logic when it comes to doing that. And it's also your way to kind of test the strength of relationships. Because for you, the type of relationship that you're really looking for is a relationship that's going to last pretty much forever. And, in order to test that out, you gotta see if this relationship of yours, can overcome obstacles, can, overcome conflicts. How are you guys when things are going well versus when they're really bad? Are you guys still together and really grounded, no matter what? That is something you're really looking for when it comes to relationships. In order to find that out, you need to use time. Ironically, Saturn is the planet of time. So that's how you kind of test out relationships. And because of that, you're pretty slow when it comes to falling in love with people. And, due to this, depending on the person, they can either really appreciate this because they also take the relationship seriously, or, depending on the person, they could be frustrated because they're sitting here I'm being denied, this love that I really want from somebody, but they're just either really slow at it and they don't really give it to me and I want it, or they may not actually like me at all. So I think choosing a partner is going to be extremely important for you, because you have to be very critical. Because if the person you're dating or wanting to be with is someone who is constantly dependent, they really want you there all the time, and they can't stand on their own, like, they're not going to be good for you, because they may think that you don't care about them. They may think that you're not putting enough effort. They may think that you don't really even like them at all, and like they're going to get mad at you. And the thing is, if you have a partner who can understand that you're waiting just because you take this seriously, you don't want to mess things up, like, that's a partner you want to be with. You don't want a partner who is overly dependent on you. Like, that, honestly, that could be a turnoff for you, actually. Now, I will say one thing that may not be easy to hear. When it comes to Saturn, when it comes to like anything Saturnian, really, there's this weird tendency where we will try to withdraw from taking any sort of chances in our lives unless we know for sure that if we take that one shot, that one attempt, it's going to be successful. Like, let me paint the ideal fantasy for you, Capricorn Venus. This is your ideal romantic fantasy. You find someone that you love. They're absolutely perfect. You know, they're dependable, they're reliable, they're stable, they're grounded, they're serious people, they have great goals, they're going somewhere in life, they're gonna help you. Like, you find the perfect partner. And you take a while, you do your little, little testing where you find out whether they'll last in the long run or not. And then once you find out that they're gonna last for a while, you take your shot and it actually works out. And you hope that that will be the only shot that you'll ever have to take romantically, because you took so much time and effort into planning how you're going to be with someone, and because you planned and worked so hard to make that, shot, that it should work because you worked so hard to make it successful. So like, ideally, for anyone who has a lot of Saturnian energy in their natal chart, like romantically, like when it, like, I don't know, like a Venus Saturn aspect or like a Venus and Capricorn placement, ideally you just want to take one shot and it'll be the one successful shot you're going to make. Like a one successful, planned, organized shot that is successful. That is what you want. However, that's not always going to be the case. It's probably not the case for most of you guys. It's not the case for me personally. Like, relationships, they're not perfect. Some people, they can't provide you with the needs that you have. Some people are just straight up trash. Sometimes the circumstances are not, working well for you two. Sometimes you have to start over with relationships. Sometimes you have to break up with people and then fall in love again and then really just test it out. My point is that you have to take multiple shots in relationships, and that is the reality of it. And that one shot wonder, like, yeah, it's great, but it could also just be a fantasy. Your first shot in love may not be the best shot. It may be the worst shot you'll ever make. But the point is, Capricorn, you work really hard on, making sure things are right. But you gotta stop being so butthurt when things don't go your way. No matter how much time and no matter how much effort you put into anything. Because, as you know, there's no guarantees in life. And this also applies to relationships. So that's one thing that I really wanted to talk about with this placement, just because I see that, with this placement, in a negative way, you can either find people who are stuck in insecure relationships just because they don't really trust anybody to have a secure relationship with them. And on the other side, you may find people with this placement who don't really date that often just because, like, they don't really trust people either, and because they're trying to make that one successful shot in, at having a relationship. And, sometimes that one successful shot, the opportunity may not ever come. And the thing about Capricorn is that they always try to hold themselves back from doing things because they're just like, what's the point of doing it? It's impractical, it's unrealistic, I shouldn't do it. And while having that discernment is very practical and even healthy at times, you have to ask yourself if you're withdrawing from taking a chance because, you're scared. You can only hide behind practicality for so long. So, yeah, Capricorn, I feel like a lot of what I'm saying is very, very heavy. Now, if you're watching this video and you're just kind of like, okay, cool, thanks for telling me all of this, but how do I get with a Capricorn Venus? Okay, so you want to date a Capricorn Venus. Congratulations, because you have a person who can definitely last for the long haul if they can. And this is a person who takes things seriously. So if you're crushing on a Capricorn Venus, you won't ever have to worry on whether you're seen as a joke or not, because you are the real deal to them if you guys get together. Now, to get with a Capricorn Venus, I don't know, it's a long list, because you gotta be, self-sufficient, you gotta be independent, you gotta have your own plan, your own dreams, your own thing. Like, you should, definitely be a whole before you, go with a Capricorn Venus. For Capricorn Venuses, with their philosophy in love, it's not two halves coming together, it's two wholes coming together. So be your whole own person first before you even consider liking a Venus in Capricorn. The second step is to take your time, a Capricorn Venus, like, they're here for the long haul, and you should also be here for the long haul if you are planning to be with a Capricorn Venus. So 2, take your time. Also, like, what is the rush? If you're gonna be with them forever, like, you can take your time with getting with them. So there's that. Step 3, persevere. Sometimes with Capricorn Venuses, the reason why for them they can struggle with having success in relationships is because they never give themselves time to persevere. And I think the best way to really help a Venus and Capricorn person is to be an example of perseverance. If you can be a person who can, like, last through anything, like even the worst of things, and if you can be an example of that to them, like, not only will you inspire them to persevere in their own personal lives, but I think that's a very attractive quality that a Venus and Capricorn person would like. So yeah, that is the 3rd step. And well, there's, like, honestly, with a Capricorn Venus, there could be a million steps, but I think those 3 steps are, sufficient. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. This is my take on the Capricorn Venus, and I hope you guys like it. And yeah, again, I will be putting up a poll after this video is posted so that you guys can vote for the next sign. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming. I will see you guys next week.